everybody. Welcome to Blades in the Dark. We're going into session 7 here. And, Mr. Ptolemy has a meeting to go to. Much like last session, we're beginning with Ptolemy's meeting to,
so many meetings.
Yeah, I'm eating up everybody's time.
No.
In the pursuit of
Ptolemy
godhood.
in the dark.
Yeah.
Ptolemy of many faces.
Coyotes in the dark.
Oh no, you gotta get out of the way.
It's not even a
That's
hero's
the name-
journey.
that's the name
There's been no...
Yeah,
We missed step
we
1.
haven't done anything heroic yet. So.
I'm trying to fulfill the Coyote story of being a trickster and also being able to shapeshift.
That's fair. So you're standing outside this door to this tenement house, this brick building, which is materialized in between two other buildings in Crow's Foot, where nothing was there before. It's kind of like come into existence out of the ghost field. It's like this wispy, greenish, ethereal building.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a door on the front with a heavy knocker in the shape of a chameleon's head. Not to put too fine a point on it. Right there.
With the eyes, yeah.
With the eyes, yep, going all over the place.
And I knocked.
You did knock.
And then it did open,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know what it is on the inside yet.
Yeah. So within this house, we see this kind of simple entryway sitting room. It's got a single small table, kind of like a lot like this one actually, maybe a little smaller in diameter, with a vase with a single flower in it, probably like a daisy or a petunia, something like that. And then behind that is a staircase. It's a petunia, since we'll be specific. It's a staircase that goes all the way up to another floor of the house, and the rest of this room is mostly bare except for a few couches on either side of the table.
Okay. Well, if there's not a lot going downstairs, then my inclination is to go upstairs. So that's where I'm gonna go.
So as you head in, there's this soft footfall of something coming down the steps. You look and you see this.
Something invisible, isn't it?
You see this gorgeous woman coming down the steps. She has like this long brown hair that like floats behind her in kind of this ethereal, ghostly sense. She's not a ghost, at least she doesn't have the appearance of one.
Oh, okay.
But her hair seems to float behind her in this weird sense. She's got like this white nightgown on that like goes all the way down.
Certainly not a ghost.
There.
She's dressed like a ghost. She's wearing a sheet with holes cut in.
Yeah.
She's floating like this much.
She's just a little bit.
She's only barely a
She's
ghost.
raising a finger at you.
She comes down and it's so that her hair blocks off like her face, so you can't see her face fully until she turns to face you. And you can see that she's got this long scar running down the left side of her face.
Not creepy at all.
That goes all the way from her temple down to her chin. And she peers at you as you're standing there in the doorway. You're about to walk across to go to the stairs, and she looks down at you. She says, "Good evening."
Now, remind me, was I given a name for the guy who I'm supposed to be meeting?
You were not. It was
wasn't.
The demonstrator specified it was an entity who could assist you.
And you hate entities.
Yes.
Okay.
Beings are fine, but entities way up.
You notice they didn't say demon. Like, you think if it had been a demon, they would have specified, it's a demon. But they didn't specify.
Yeah, it's probably a demon. But, I mean, beggars can't be choosers.
Sure, yeah. So she stands there on the stairs and says, "Good evening."
Good evening to you. I was directed here because...
As you're talking, she's coming down the stairs.
Oh, good. I was directed here because I was told I possibly could obtain some vital power that I feel like would benefit me a whole lot. I was prompted by the Dimmer sisters to come here.
She like walks down the stairs and gets to one of the couches and like dusts off the seat before sitting down and sits and then like motions to the other couch.
I make my way to the other couch, yeah, and I sit and I'm kind of like a little bit apprehensive, but whatever. I'm in too deep now. So.
She leans forward slightly and like crosses her hands together over under her chin like this, and goes, "Something that could assist you, a power and ability."
Yes, I don't know how great of a power it would be, but it seems like it would be a great power to be able to shapeshift into any person that you desire.
So you're looking for something magical then.
Yes.
Something outstanding. Something that doesn't exist in our natural world.
Yes, certainly. Yes.
And yet still you persist in believing it exists.
Well, I mean, it's no harm in trying.
Alright. She like chuckles a bit at that. She goes, "Oh, I'm sorry, how rude of me. Would you like some tea?"
Oh no, I'm perfectly fine without tea. No, I'm fine.
I hope you don't mind if I do.
Go ahead. This is your home.
So she leans forward and pushes the flower vase over, and as the flower vase falls forward onto the table, it hits and smashes and shatters into pieces, and then they turn into water droplets as they fly up, and it coalesces back down into this teapot.
Oh.
Including the flower?
Including, the flower's gone.
The flower becomes the tea.
Yeah.
So
Well, that certainly
I-
seems like
I love petunia tea.
well, that shapeshifting right there.
yeah, that certainly seems like some
So she
verifiable magic right there.
She takes the tea kettle off of the table and like shakes her hand once, and her hand turns into a saucer, or not a saucer, a teacup with a saucer
hand
underneath it.
does?
Yep, just, and then she like pours tea into it and sets the teacup, or not the teacup, the tea kettle.
Is it like hand
back on.
colored?
No, it's not. It's like a porcelain cup,
And
like
it's
the
just
saucer. at the
connected to
bottom.
her
It's just
arm?
connected to her arm. And she like reaches across and picks the teacup off of the saucer that is her hand and drinks from it, and leans back. She goes, "Are you sure?"
You gotta say yes now.
This doesn't exist.
You
What
get
you're
to
looking
drink
for.
a part of her.
No, he would be drinking
It's the first test.
the vase, right?
I'm still
Flower. That doesn't sound good.
I'm still pretty.
I
Magic.
didn't drink porcelain, Will.
I'm still fairly
It's bad
sure.
for you.
Yeah.
Okay. She nods. Suit yourself. Well, what you want is the ability to have people see you differently. That's all it is, really. It's not actually changing your form, it's just changing people's perception of you.
There was no spoon.
People already do this all the time. They pretend to be somebody else. I think you're well adept at doing that already.
I try my best, but it could only get better.
Often, I think, eventually you'll find that whatever you believe the world to be is what it becomes. See, this isn't a flower vase anymore. It's a teacup with tea in it. Not because it's actually what it is, but it's because what I want it to be.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
So
Yeah.
she sets the teacup on the table and shakes her hand back into the normal hand formation. And she crosses and she goes, "I want to show you something very interesting."
Oh, you've already shown me plenty of interesting things. Yeah, but yes, continue.
So as you're looking at her face, like, her nose starts to elongate and, like, ears start to grow out of the side of her head. She grows orangish fur and, like, with white tufts underneath it. And you realize she's taken on the face of, like, a coyote as she forms it out. And she just, like forms that out to look like your mask, except it's, like, an actual coyote's head. And she forms it. And you notice that even in all her changing, the scar stays consistent. And she looks at you.
I just have a general question.
Yeah.
Does this seem like something like...
This is terrifying.
I know it's
Yeah.
terrifying,
Alright.
but what I'm saying is, does this sort of fall in line with
scared.
some of the Akarosi sort of...
The Taikarosi?
Taikarosi,
No.
sorry.
Not at all.
Okay,
This
not
is,
at all.
This is beyond any story you've ever heard. This is just like, so.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm trying to keep it together.
But deep down underneath, because of your natural ability to
This is
talk,
like a roller coaster. You
Yeah.
get scared, but then it's worth the ride.
See, it's funny because like you say it's terrifying, but I can't help but think that this is just like Beauty and the Beast, and it's just adorable. Like first you have a flower, then you have teacups, now you have a little coyote. It's like it's adorable.
But
Yeah, but they're not.
the
There's no
thing is,
singing.
given your
terrifying.
That's his fault. There could be singing.
If Beauty and the Beast didn't have singing in it, it would be like a horror story.
it would.
That's what the kid is.
The thing, ooh, that's an adventure. Anyway,
Well,
the
I
thing
mean,
is that
all the
given your
original
like
stories were
deep
scary.
seated ability to talk to people, your ability to converse and dance around, a part of you realizes what's going on here. This is it's a show of force. This is like whenever you're meeting with like a new head of a gang or something, and they want to show you, hey, you're on my territory, don't mess around with me.
Mm.
This is exactly what that is. It's
Well-
it's the exact same thing.
It's working.
Yeah, but like you suddenly realize that there's a logic to this action,
Mhm.
right? And so she turns her face again and like molds it into the face of one of your sisters, And then like
Which one?
Whoa, that's deep.
probably that one.
Caracal.
Caracal, yeah. So you like shifts her face into that, and then she turns it around and like reorders her face to look like Lord Skurlock's, and then like she like shakes her face and it goes back to the normal.
So she knows
woman's
all
face
about you.
You saw before. The scar, no matter what she turns into, stays consistent along the side. And she
So I would think that because I'm picking up on the fact that her scar is consistent, would I remember if there's anybody that I've encountered who
Had a scar.
yeah, I'm just thinking to myself, have I ever met you? But then I don't think I want to say that out loud yet.
No,
It's funny.
just something you would.
Because as you're thinking that, of course, your mind goes to places where like, wait, was that you? Could that
yeah,
have been
yeah,
you?
like any person that of all the people I've ever met, could it be you?
Yeah.
Yeah, basically.
So, she pauses for a second. It's like, you see the problem, right? The issue I have.
With the scar?
Oh no!
You're dead.
Yes.
I mean, that's the issue, isn't it?
It's rather apparent the way my perfect form's been marred, and she like grabs the edge of the table and breaks off a piece of it, and it turns into flesh, and then like this blood runs down her hands from the ripped off flesh. She like
The table is a man.
and she like throws it to the side, and the flesh like bounces and turns into a bird and flies off into the rafters somewhere.
This is amazing. I love this.
Oh.
And
my God.
and she sits there for a second longer. I can take whatever form I wish, but no matter what form I choose, this stays consistent. The scar from the ancient and old weapon of the Hadrathi. The history of this injury is something we don't need to go into here. It's a detail that won't concern you or the power that you seek, but you should know I can grant you what you want. To get it from me, however, I will need you to do me a favor.
Yeah. Okay.
Let me add it to my list.
There is a man in this city of Doskvol, by the name of Ulf Ironborn, and you know who this is. It's he's a Skullslander. He's a skull or a skull refugee. This big kind of brutish guy. He used to be a commander back during the Skullslandish War for freedom from the Empire. But since the Skulls lost the war, he's been stuck in Doskvol as a refugee, and has generally just been lamenting the loss of the war, kind of being like almost crossing over to terrorist grounds. He's
Is he
rampaging
a high?
around.
So he's a high-profile individual.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
He's tier 1 all by himself.
Oh.
So he's kind of a big deal. A lot of the Skullslander
Sorry,
refugees who like still believe in like the true free Skullland respect him a lot.
Mhm.
So he kind of has this gang of refugees that follow him around, and they're trying to overthrow the government, but they're not really getting anywhere.
Mhm.
He's also known for being just the slightest bit hot-headed. But she leans forward and says, "Ages ago, an ancestor of this man injured my face. Reparations to that character in particular are impossible to visit upon his head at this point, but his relatives should feel the sting of their slight." And she leans across the table, and you're kind of sitting farther away from you, but she leans forward, and her hand like stretches out and reaches far longer than it should across the table to like put a hand on your wrist, and she like places there and goes, "I want you to be my sword.
Yes.
Punish this man for me.
Distant stealing.
Banish the ghosts that cling to him. And once that's done, return to me, and I will give you what you seek." And her hand like slides away and like slithers back to her arm like a snake.
It's very different than the other missions we've done.
That's cool.
Yes. I will. It's top priority. I will get on that.
So you accept the terms then. Good. Know that failing to do this will have dire consequences.
I mean, play to win.
She smiles a bit and stands up and she goes, "You have a gambling spirit. I like that." And she leans down and like dusts the chair off.
That's a very Joker thing.
You are
Yeah.
a risk taker.
You have a gambling. I like that.
Yeah.
I like
And she starts.
very poor choice of words. Okay.
Come on.
Okay, sorry.
She starts to walk back up the stairs and gets halfway up and grabs the banister and glances down at you and says, "I wish you the best of luck, Ptolemy." And she heads up the stairs.
She calls me Ptolemy.
She does. You get the sense it's not because she doesn't know who you are, but because she respects the face you've chosen to wear.
Well, that's pleasant.
It's not like you've seen her real face, I'm sure.
But she knows what one of my sisters look like. Oh no.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my god.
And that's the end of that meeting. So as you leave the house, unless there's anything else you want to do, you shut the door behind you, and the house shimmers for a moment and then disappears into thin air. It kind of drifts away like morning fog.
Yeah, that's the least frightening thing that I've seen in this whole setup. Yeah.
I've always dumbfounded when tier 1 villains send PCs to fight other tier 1 villains. It's like, what were you doing that you were unable to accomplish this? That you think
they're
we could
tier
have?
0.
Well, I came up with
She's
the
so above
I came
anything
up
we
with the
could've-
reward first, and then
So-
the villain gets created based off of the act of trying to get the reward.
Kind of. So the higher the higher the tier, the more dangerous they are.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Oh, okay.
Tier
so,
one
I just
so
wanna
this
make
guy
sure.
being tier 1 was he's actually
Oh.
pretty slime bad.
Yeah, I mean he's not bad. You
He's
guys are
just
tier
dangerous.
one,
Tier
but
three.
he's so most of the time you have
Tier three's
gangs
higher.
that are the gang is tier 1.
Right.
He's tier 1 all by himself.
Sure.
He
Okay.
alone. Okay.
Alright. I got it mixed up.
I
and
know.
thought he was,
It's confusing because
So you got tier one-
lists are always tier 1, tier 2.
Is the
Yeah,
best.
yeah, exactly.
But in the game, it's opposite.
It's the
opposite.
Zero's bottom and it goes up.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, so she's tier 7.
Okay, I got that all mixed up.
Yeah.
So he's beneath her. And
Yeah,
Way
yeah.
beneath
To the point where she's because he's not even the guy who did the scar on her face. He's
Sure.
just an ancestor of the person who
Well,
did
I
it.
feel
So she's
If I were her, I would want to do that myself.
Well,
exact the revenge.
Ptolemy
myself.
may be one of many agents who are hunting down these ancestors.
So I would just go around and kill them all if I was a crazy shapeshifting.
But you might have better stuff to do.
Maybe.
Or maybe you're afraid. Anyway, okay.
Or maybe she's stuck in that house.
She picked the wrong sword. This Marco would have been, I will hunt them all down for you. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to torture every one of them. This is how... It's like,
Oh,
No.
no. If one of them offers to pay me, I'm like, it's cool.
No.
I'm out.
No, I take things on a case by case,
I would
individual
not be
basis.
that loyal.
So how do you? What happens? You go back to the gang. What's going on?
Well, this meeting took place in the evening,
That's right.
and so I basically dwell on this information throughout the night.
Mm-hmm.
We were back at the
Has the clock started?
house, right? Back at the
It'll start after you do this score. After you take care of all.
I feel like this is all just steps of the clock. Like it feels like the clock has been running, and it hasn't even gotten past 1.
Nah, I mean it's it. So the clock is going to be you learning how to control the powers, right? Because you'll get them, and then you got to be learn how to change your form without making your fingers into cats.
Oh, good
Yeah.
shit. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I have nothing to do then to go home and not sleep because I'm gonna have nightmares. And then wake up in the morning and go to work where, everybody's gonna be at, and for me to tell them about how, I've got this. I always feel like I'm bringing something new
Well,
to
this
the
is
crew
something. This is something
to
completely
fuck them
different.
up.
Well, this is completely different because this isn't stealing anything, and there is literally nothing of value any of us but you will get out of this. So this is going to be interesting for you to bring up to the group compared
Yeah.
to other scores.
How do you convince your crew, this crew of shadows, to?
Well, the same.
Because we're not.
Well, the same
Murderers.
exact reason why. Well, I would be willing to do it as long as you guys facilitate me in the ability to get near enough to this person.
I guess
If you have some moral objection to killing this individual,
Well, I feel like this is something that should be more acted out.
Yeah.
Than talked about.
Yeah.
I was just saying that. I was just bringing that up as a point.
Yeah.
I don't think this is going to go as smooth
Oh, interesting.
as you might think.
We might be talking about some PvP roles here. Okay.
I mean, I don't know about rolls. Sure, okay.
We're not. Okay, so the other thing we have to deal with before we get back, Caelin. So in the couple days following before this conversation occurs, you have been getting notifications through your network. somebody is looking for your gang. Now your lair is hidden, so you you guys don't get easily found. People don't know that Havelock's is the hiding place of the shroud, but the word comes through the grapevine that somebody is looking for the shroud to do a job for them. But they don't know exactly how to get in contact with you. So what they're
That's
doing
strange that someone would be
they're going to bars and night markets and like asking around, like, hey, you ever heard of this gang of thieves? They've got this weird little girl with them who wears this freaky mask.
I don't like people coming to us.
Guy with the coyote mask and all that stuff.
Yeah, we were a bunch of weirdos.
It is very weird that somebody's asking around because you guys have done a pretty good job of keeping your involvement in things quiet up till now. Like your reputation hasn't really been garnered so much
Have
around.
I gotten any indication by people like what this person is like? Who's
they're describing him as kind of like this, like a sewer rat would be the impolite term for them. Like this kind of like younger guy with like this urchin, ruffled up clothes.
Scumfuck bastard.
That sort of thing. Probably missing a few teeth.
Technical term.
They're housing challenged.
Yeah, the housing challenge. Thank you. Housing challenge. Walking around, asking for the shroud. Needs something done. And if you
that could be anyone in Doskvol.
It could. If you like, the weird thing is like people don't recognize him, right? He's a no name. He's somebody that hasn't been involved in the criminal underworld before. So if you wanted to, you could put the word out to say, yeah, send him here, and I can have a chat with him, or we can have a chat with him, or you can just ignore it if you want to. But the reports are saying that he's becoming pretty persistent.
Well, I'm not gonna have them send him to where we
No,
are.
I know, but you could meet him in like a restaurant or a park or something.
Well, how would we send the word out?
Oh, Caelin's got a network. Like she could like tell
people
some
are telling
bartenders
me
and
that
stuff.
people are asking around.
So the next time he goes
People
asking
I
around,
know.
they can be like, yeah, I heard about this.
Just hang out at the bar until someone comes up to you and says, have you heard of the shroud? It's like,